So yesterday, we changed out the other injector on the skidder. I meant to get some video of that, but there was 3 of us kind of working on it. None of us being really that mechanically inclined, but we can get by. Luckily, I think that was the problem why the skidder wasn't running good. We also changed the oil out on it as well, so these 2 buckets right here are a mixture of oil and diesel fuel because the injector was bad and putting a lot of fuel back into the oil. So hopefully we got that problem addressed before any major damage was done to the bearings, which I think we got it in time, which honestly you never get it in time. Any exposure I think is bad exposure, but hopefully it runs a lot better anyway. We tried it out and ran it, and we got done doing that. I went and looked at some timber yesterday, some decent walnut and some pallet type material there north of Higginsville. And today I am on my way to go to Platte City, Missouri to look at some timber. Then this weekend I'll probably move in some equipment somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, if it's going to be up north or down here. We've got a ton of things we need to get done down here, but it's between the wet weather, the cold weather, because it was still brutally cold yesterday when we got to the job site. We're out there trying to change the injector, and I think 8-degree weather, which when things are cold, your hands are cold, working in tight places, you kind of get grouchy and grumpy. Of course, I'm not a mechanic anyway, so I tend to use some more colorful language after a while, and that doesn't need to be in a film and a YouTube video, at least not one of mine anyway. No one needs to hear my sailor-like vocabulary. But one thing I did do yesterday, you can never have enough tools, and I'm trying to get my Montezuma filled up here, in which we did break my driver, my Craftsman driver back there. We broke a piece of it, so I've got a couple tools I need to take there back to Craftsman and exchange them. But I'm missing some. I've had the tools that I had, and it's just kind of the basics. A guy can work on stuff, but you're not gonna take on any super big projects. But I have ordered some more tools. I ordered about $500 worth of tools yesterday from Craftsman, some pieces I didn't have, and now I'm going to start ordering some pieces that I need to fill in the gaps. Like you can see, we're missing one there, we're missing a socket here. Over time, people get into your sockets and use stuff and don't put stuff back, which is a huge pet peeve of mine. I try to keep all that stuff. I like having it organized, I'll put it that way. And so, I like having, I'm a firm believer, no matter how many tools you got, you never have enough for the right one you need. So hopefully that stuff will be in Monday, and we'll work on filling that toolbox up more. And I'm not so sure, I'm thinking about ordering a new air compressor as well, buying a new air compressor, taking my old one off here and maybe selling it and just upgrading to one just like it, maybe something a little bigger. That one does really well, but something just a little bigger. Like I said, I've kind of gotten the tool buying mode here lately. My moods change a lot on what interests me, and right now it's kind of focusing more on my tools for my toolbox and work truck here, trying to get the bed outfitted more. So let's unload all this nasty oil and stuff off the back, and we're going to take off and head up north. On a big farm up here, Platte City, Missouri. Not too terribly far from where we were working at barley. That's the first piece of corn I've seen with kernels still on the ear. Anyway, big farm here, doing a lot of walking. Of course, you can see up there in the distance where my truck is. I've got Mike up there in the truck. But this place goes, I don't know, probably 1.5 miles or 2 miles east, and at least another mile back to the north, and probably a ½ mile back to the south. Seems to be a decent amount of timber here. It's just kind of spread out. It's walnut. There's another piece of, or another ear of corn with some kernels on it. They do a good job of combining up here. That, I'm sure, between the deer and the coons and the geese, they probably get what's left over here. Anyway, a lot of walking today. It's warmed up where it's really slick and greasy. Kind of tough getting around some of these places. I'm still amazed at this country up here, how they farm some of these hills like they do. It's pretty sad. I'm here fascinated with ears of corn on the ground. It's the little things, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to go over here and look at this patch of timber. There's a couple of these smaller patches like this, or they're actually pretty good size, but see, like on that hill, or that bunch right there, and that bigger bunch over there, but it looked like some walnut tops from the other hillside, so I'm traipsing across the field here to get to them. We'll see what we can find. We're at our last stop here on this track. I parked kind of out of the road. You kind of see a power line, power pole right there, so the road's right down there. I parked down there and left Mike down there with the truck, and I took off walking. And the biggest walnut I've seen so far has been right through here. I mean, there's some humdinger trees. That bird there. They're pretty good trees. Like they've good because they got some size. You can see, even like this big guy here's got some defects on it, which its size makes up for it. But at the same time, those defects will keep it out of the high grade market. See, it's got some dead limbs in the top of it, so it's time. It is time. When they start showing those dead limbs, they're letting you know it's time. So it ain't gonna get any better. They've reached maturity. My gosh, what a jungle. That's another big one right there. Wade through the vines. Big tree, big tree. It's a big top over there, but that's a cottonwood, I do believe. See, like that guy there. He's sprouting some dead limbs. Telltale signs. Telltale signs. They won't live forever. See, pin knots on it. Still a good tree, but she's got some defects. What a jungle. See, now here's a good young tree coming up. That one right there is one you don't want to harvest. Good seed crop. It's amazing how well these little trees grow once you go in and just do a light thinning, kind of get rid of some of this old growth. These little ones really put on the growth. It's a good red oak right there. I like cutting the red oak up here because they're a true northern red, tight barked northern red. Always cut good up here. Or for us, they have. I'm sure it's kind of like back home, some cut bad. These ditches up here are just what amazes me. How deep some of these rascals are. Alright. We need to figure out a way to get across that dude. Onward. I'm going to turn this camera off because I'm probably going to fall down this. I've already fell down a little draw once today because it's starting to thaw from that little polar vortex Arctic freeze we had. And it is slick. So camera off. One thing about this job, you get to see some neat terrain. It's a good ways down there. Good ways down there. I was kind of wanting to walk through this lower bottom part. One thing for sure, since I've had my eye surgery, I mean, it's seriously been a life-changing deal. I can see, you know, I've never really had good vision my whole life, and that's something I've kind of course my close friends know or knew, but and some family knew, but other than that, it's something I never really let out about how bad my vision was. But now that I've had eye surgery, it's just like looking at timber, it's amazing. Amazing how well I can see and spot things and see timber in the distance. It's an awesome deal. I think the property line is right in here, so he figures there's some good walnut right over there. See if we can get down before we fall down. Ooh. Ooh. Let's see if we can navigate this. Frozen pretty solid, or so it looks. Yeah, fairly solid. Ooh, that's not so much. Not so much at all. I'm not as fat as I thought I was. You really get to see a lot of interesting places looking at timber, being a logger. That's one thing I really enjoy about this job. Some of the things you get to see. Different places. Every week it seems like. Let's head back to the truck.